What's going on, everyone? So, Jerami Grant to the Lakers. This saga is really heating up. It's been a little chaotic. You're seeing all these different things about Jerami Grant to the Lakers. So, let's break it down. Let's go over it and kind of bring everyone up to speed. So, first off, let's talk about what Zach Lowe said. So, Zack Lowe basically, he kind of said that the deal's done, right? Or implied that the deal's done, or it's going to be done, like it's in the works of being done, because he said on his podcast, should we already start printing the Jerami Grant to the Lakers jerseys? Should we start printing Jerami Grant's Laker jerseys? Which, of course, has caused a whirlwind in and of itself. Like I always say, take everything with a grain of salt, all these reports, all these things, until it's official, right? It's not done. We've seen trades get announced, finished, like, hey, both sides agree to this, and then completely fall apart out of left field. Lakers have been on the end of some of those. Chris Paul trade, right? Like, all of a sudden, it's like, what just happened? DeAndre Jordan being locked and imprisoned by the Clippers, right? Like, there's all kinds of things that come to mind that it's just, until it is finalized by the league, and it's like, hey, both sides have agreed to this, things can end, right? The Lakers have backed out of deals. And speaking of deals that supposedly the Lakers backed out of, supposedly, according to a report. But here's the thing. The reporter is a Blazer reporter, and he's the only one that has reported this, at least at this time. Maybe more will come out. There's a lot of if you go online, you'll look at a lot of reports about what was said, but the only person that really said this, like Woj hasn't confirmed it, Sean, we haven't gotten somebody else that was like, oh no, this is true, right? Rob backed out of a deal type thing. The only thing we got is via a Blazers reporter, who is Danny Moraine, said that Rob Pelinka agreed to the Blazers asking price of 2 first-round picks, and then decided to back out, and that's what's holding the deal up. That Rob Pelinka's kind of, been trepid about, hey, I want to give up those 2 firsts for Jerami Grant. Couple things. One is, again, it's a Blazers reporter. Whenever you look at these type of reports, talk about it every year, right? You look at the reports and who does it benefit? Is it a neutral source that's just hey, they don't care, they don't have a skin in the game either way, and it's just okay, maybe it's a little, okay, that makes sense type thing? Or is it something where it's a Laker heavy, there's clearly a heavy Laker bias, or there's clearly a heavy Blazers bias, right? We haven't gotten anybody but a heavy Blazer bias that said this. But here's something that we have gotten from many people, that Rob Pelinka does not want to trade 2 firsts for Jerami Grant. That's been reported for a month now, that Rob Pelinka won't trade 2 firsts for Jerami Grant, that he doesn't want to. He's willing to give up 1, may work something out, maybe a first and a pick swap, something like that, but he doesn't want to give up 2 firsts for Jerami Grant. He doesn't even want to give up 1 first for Cam Johnson, right? And again, this is something that has been talked about by several people, not just a Blazers reporter or just a Lakers reporter. No, it's been heavily talked about, right? So again, it's kind of weeding through the noise. And like I always say, I always try to find what is the consensus here? Because there always is, you can find, on the internet about anything, right? You can find 2 polar opposite opinions or reports, right? One person says this, another person says this, and it's who do we believe, right? Well, there is also the consent, the general, okay, so you have these 2 reports. What is the other reports from other people? Okay, they're all saying this. So this outweighs this. Sometimes the consensus is wrong. We've seen that happen. But 99% of the time, the general consensus reports, multiple sources, multiple people are saying something. Usually that's a good indicator that that's closer to the truth. And that has been that Rob Pelinka is not going to trade 2 firsts for Jerami Grant. Things change, right? It's very possible that maybe something gets done. Maybe they do have to give up 2 firsts. Maybe they're seeing all these other teams make the moves and there is this level of desperation and the Lakers feel like, man, we got to do something. So maybe they do go end up and pulling off a trade for Jerami Grant and give up 2 firsts. I would be very happy if the Lakers get Jerami Grant. He's an excellent player. He'd immediately be the third best player on the Lakers. He's a legit two-way player when he's locked in, engaged, which I believe he would be with the Lakers. I also think he'd have help on the defense side with Anthony Davis, and depending on what what players you're giving up and stuff like that, also could depend on like if you have Jared Vanderbilt or not. But chances are it's going to be something like D'Lo, Rui is how you're going to get there, and then you're going to have to throw in another piece. Hopefully the Lakers can clear some salary in that move also. I hope it's not something where it's just kind of like you're just matching salaries or you're just like $1 million over, right? I hope it's something where you're able to kind of clear off enough to free up your taxpayer mid-level or make some other moves. Tyus Jones just got picked up by the Phoenix Suns, which the Lakers, if they trade D'Lo, could really use Tyus Jones. But it's also possible that maybe they do the deal without D'Lo. It'd be a little tough, but supposedly the Portland Trailblazers want Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt. So if that's true, right, would the Lakers give up those two? And now you're talking, Rui, Jared, maybe Gabe Vincent, right? And then like a minimum, something like that. Because Rui would get you $17 million. Jared Vanderbilt would get you, another 10, something like that. So let's call it $27 million. And then Gabe Vincent would get you to $38 million, which would clear Jerami Grant. And then you basically could unload maybe like a vet minimum. Like, could you throw on, send Cam Reddish back or Jackson Hayes or something like that. So now you cleared off a little salary to maybe bring in a guy, right? Maybe bring in another wing. And then now you still have D'Lo's contract to trade or kind of run it with him. Although I prefer to keep Jared Vanderbilt. If I'm being honest, I'd rather figure that out, because also I just think at times, like especially like you need a stop at the end of the game or something like that, you could go Vando and Grant and have that size and defensive versatility alongside Anthony Davis, which I think would go a long way. But we'll see what the ins and outs are. But look, I would be happy if the Lakers were able to land Jerami Grant, not for 2 firsts, right? Like, I'm gonna support, I'm gonna be excited, right? Jerami Grant would make the Lakers better. But like I've always said, it's been Jerami Grant and. Now, does Jerami Grant make us a legit team? Like, does he move us closer to an NBA championship? Absolutely. Right? I've said that I think even the Lakers currently constructed are probably the 5th best, top 5 in the West. I believe that they can get there, right? If with health, better coaching, better chemistry, things like that, I think that they can get there. If it wasn't for that losing 10 of 13 stretch last season, right? If they just won half of those games, they would have been 4th last season. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that they're top 5 to 6, right? I think Jerami Grant makes you a top 3 team, again, with health, things like that. I think it makes you a top 3 team in the West. But, again, the West isn't the only team. Like, you still have Boston, you still have Knicks, you have Denver, you have, OKC, you have. So I would put, like, right now, I think the Lakers are probably, top 8 to 10 best team, right? Like, I haven't really, laid it out, but just off the top of my head, I could name probably 6 or 7 teams that I think are more likely to win. Again, I think the Lakers can beat anybody. I do. You still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't think anyone would be shocked if the Lakers won the championship. But I do think that there are at least bare minimum a handful of teams that are better than the Lakers currently constructed. I think you had Jerami Grant. I think now they jump into that top tier contending level team. I think that now they're maybe top 5, maybe just slightly outside. But like I've always said, I think you need that last piece, a Walker Kessler, something like that, to now you're a bona fide contender. Like, you're one of the 3 best teams in the league, even if they don't finish top 3 in the West. I think that just the talent, like the just overall just versatility that something like that would have, I think you'd be one of, if not the best teams in the West and potentially the league. I think that there are still some teams, and obviously it depends on how does everything mesh and how does the coaching, there's a lot of factors and elements that go into it. I mean, even my thoughts on the Lakers being a top 5 team in the West as currently constructed. There's a lot of factors that go into that are unknown until we actually get there. So, again, I just look at it and go, hey, based on last year, assuming JJ will be better, the bar is not super high, right? So even if he's just slightly better, I think the Lakers will be better. And health and all those factors, the Lakers will be, in my opinion, a top 5, 4, in that 4 to 6 range at worst. But I think if they get Jerami Grant, I think now they're in that at worst 3 to 5 range maybe, depending on health, right? How many games does Anthony Davis and LeBron play type thing. But they play basically 65 games. I think the Lakers are a top 3 to 4 team in the West, because I just think other teams will prioritize that 1 seed and stuff like that over the Lakers, in my opinion, just because they're going to prioritize health. Like, hey, LeBron's old, 80, you don't want him banged up. We need to keep guys fresh or as fresh as possible. So I just think that Lakers, like, if it's close, right, say the Lakers are 2 games out of second or 2 games out of first, something like that. I think that they'll, if they get it, great, but I don't think, like, some teams are like, we have to get that. Right, and teams are guys are injured and they're still playing. Like, I think they'll just kind of play it per normal. Hey, LeBron needs his rest today. LeBron, you're getting your rest, right? Oh, but like we're 2 games. Get your rest, man. We need you for the playoffs. We're not worried about finishing 3rd, right? Like that's what I mean in that regard. But I do think that if the Lakers were to get Jerami Grant and another piece, now I think you're talking them, Denver, Boston. I think those teams they're in that category now, depending on what that piece is. Obviously, again, if that other piece is like them signing, Bismack Biyombo, right? Then no. But if they if they get a Jerami Grant and then they get like a Walker Kessler, or they get a Jerami Grant and they get like a Wendell Carter Jr., right? Now that's what I mean. Like, okay, now they've clearly, they're just, you're talking Jerami Grant, Wendell Carter Jr., LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves. That's enough talent stacked up to the rest of these teams to where they're one of the best teams in the league. And we've already seen LeBron James and Anthony Davis are still A1 as far as talent-wise goes. So still need to see this all play out. But I do think it's very interesting, right? All the noise that's starting to come about Jerami Grant. So maybe we're closing in. Maybe we're getting close. It's also part of negotiations, right? I don't think I mentioned that earlier, which I think is a point. So for those that, I'll probably know who made it this far, because I'll probably get like, this is part of the negotiations, right? So I'll know who stayed this far. But, it's usually how it goes. Now, obviously, backing out, like if there was a, spit in a handshake type agreement and you backed out, that doesn't bode well. That doesn't look good. And Rob's done that before, not because of him, but because they wanted Russell Westbrook, so he backed out of the Buddy Hield trade, and then Jeannie vetoed the Buddy Hield to Miles Turner trade. So it's not far-fetched. It's not a report I don't believe, right? I want that to be clear too. But it's came from one source who is a Blazer source. Who does that report benefit? The Blazers. Because now the Lakers look like Mr. Mean Guy, right? Now all the Laker fans are like, what is Rob doing? This guy is an idiot, blah, 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 right? Like they're just going rampant now, right? And now it applies more pressure, word gets out, all this stuff. Like people start talking about it. Like it benefits the Blazers more than it benefits the Lakers that they backed out. But it is also part, again, negotiations. Like, hey, we want Jerami Grant, but we want him at our price rather than your price. I keep saying it. I'm going to continue to say it. A lot of time between now and training camp, right? The Blazers are a tanking team. They're going after Cooper Flagg like the other tanking teams. They do not want Jerami Grant on their roster starting the season. That was why he's on the trade. That's one of the big things that was reported. Like the Blazers want to get off Jerami Grant. They want to get off of his contract, all that stuff. Jerami Grant is great. He's not worth 2 first. If he was $20 million, now you're talking, because I still don't think he's worth 2 first, but he's not overpaid now. Where Jerami Grant, if you trade for Jerami Grant, you're kind of stuck with him, right? Because he's just overpaid. Now the new CBA will make his contract better, but that doesn't kick in for another year, right? And he's only, I mean, his contract goes till he's, what, 33, something like that. So, again, there's a lot of factors that kind of go into this. But we'll see how it all plays out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, a past question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Jerami Grant? Do you think that the Lakers get it done? Do you think that, like, hey, you got to get it done ASAP? Do you think, no, like, it's not a big deal, like, go elsewhere, especially for 2 firsts? Do you think that they should give up the 2 firsts for Jerami Grant? Again, I don't think they should, right? If you can get Jerami Grant for a first, yes, absolutely do it. Or even like a first and a pick swap, I wouldn't hate that idea. But if you have to give up 2 first, even protected or unprotected, eitherwise, no. Because again, the Lakers, if Jerami Grant was the missing piece to win a championship, do it, right? Like, if the Lakers were a Jerami Grant away from being a top 2 to 3 team in the league, not just the West, but the league, do it. Get it over with, right? But again, I think the Lakers need Jerami Grant I think that they need Jerami Grant and like I said, a Wendell Carter, or they need a Jerami Grant and a whatever, right? That's what I think. But again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.